We'd been married 15 years. No kids, but we had each other. Or at least, I thought we did. Until the woman I loved started feeling like a stranger in my own home. I'm Michael. I married Rachel when I was 28. We built a quiet life together. Steady jobs. No kids. A cozy 2-bedroom in the suburbs. It wasn't flashy, but it was ours. For most of our marriage, we were solid. We weren't perfect, but we were a team. We laughed, we had our routines, and we leaned on each other. But about 6 months ago, something shifted. It was subtle at first. She just seemed distracted. Cold, maybe. We'd sit on the couch, and instead of talking or watching something together, she'd be glued to her phone. Always texting. Always grinning at whatever was on her screen. And when I walked into the room, that smile vanished like it was never there. Our physical life flatlined too. I tried to cuddle, kiss her neck like I used to. Nothing. Just excuses. I'm tired. I'm stressed. Not tonight. Every night became not tonight. First, I gave her space. I figured she was going through something. Maybe work stress, maybe personal stuff. I asked gently. She brushed it off every time. But the red flags started stacking up. She started dressing up more than usual, heels, tight dresses, makeup done like she was going out to a gala. And always on work days. Not for me. Not for a date night. Just work. Then there was the perfume. Her old one. The one she hadn't worn in years. I noticed it clinging to her when she got home. The sweet floral scent I used to love. Now it made my stomach twist. She also started putting her phone face down. Always. Never used to do that. Even took it into the bathroom with her. And at night, she slept with it under her pillow like a teenager hiding something from her parents. I'm not the jealous type. I've never been paranoid. But when the woman you share a bed with won't even look you in the eyes anymore, you start to wonder what the hell is going on. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Tom Granger. Old school guy, quiet, sharp, no drama. We met at a quiet diner on the edge of town. I slid him a photo of Rachel, told him where she worked, her daily schedule. He just nodded and said, "Give me 3 weeks." I didn't sleep much during those 3 weeks. I kept hoping I was wrong, that she was just going through a phase, that maybe I was overthinking it. But deep down, I already knew. The day Tom called me, my hands were shaking before I even picked up. "Got what you need," he said. "Meet me at the Hollow Bean. Corner table." I showed up early, ordered a black coffee I didn't touch, and waited. When Tom walked in, he had a folder under one arm and a flash drive in his pocket. He slid both across the table like we were doing some kind of drug deal. "It's all in there," he said, voice low. "Photos, messages, audio, you name it." My stomach dropped. I opened the folder. There she was, Rachel, my wife, holding hands with her boss, laughing across a table at some upscale restaurant, kissing him in his car like a teenager on prom night. I closed the folder and clenched my jaw so tight it ached. Tom took a sip of his coffee. "That's not even the worst part," he said. I looked up. "There's more." He nodded and pulled out his phone. "I recorded something. Thought you should hear it." He hit play, and there it was, her voice. Rachel. Calm, casual. Like she was talking about what to order for dinner. "Michael still thinks we're the perfect couple. He won't like this. But if he resists, we have options. He's never touched me. But if I say he did, who's gonna believe him?" Couldn't breathe. She was planning to destroy me. Not just cheat, but destroy me if I pushed back. Tom ended the recording and looked me dead in the eyes. "If they go through with this, your life's over. Even if you prove your innocence, the damage will stick." I sat there in silence. Rage, betrayal, and heartbreak boiling in my chest like acid. "What are you gonna do?" Tom asked. I stared at my cold coffee. "They don't know I know," I said quietly. And that meant I still had time. Time to prepare. Time to strike back. Seeing her in another man's arms hurt. But hearing her talk about framing me, that broke something inside me I didn't even know could break. I left the cafe that day feeling like a ghost. I drove home on autopilot, barely seeing the road, just clenching the steering wheel until my fingers went numb. When I got inside the house, our house, it felt foreign. Like I was walking through a memory that didn't belong to me anymore. Rachel wasn't home. She had texted me earlier, something about working late. That phrase used to mean she was grinding on a project. Now it meant something entirely different. I sat on the couch for a long time, folder still in my lap. I flipped through the pages again, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to make it real. There was a part of me still in denial, still hoping maybe it was just a misunderstanding. But no, there they were, Rachel and Daniel Cooper, her boss, the man she used to complain about for being too handsy during holiday parties. Now she was kissing him in his car, whispering in his ear, and laughing like she hadn't smiled in my direction for months. There were call logs too, late-night conversations, quick check-ins during lunch, and texts, not even subtle ones. Stuff like, "Can't wait to see you again," face-blowing a kiss, and "Last night was amazing," the kind of messages that made my stomach turn. But it was the recording Tom played that sealed it. She wasn't just cheating. She was scheming. Rachel had planned a week-long trip with Daniel. Some beach resort. Tom said it was called Haven Shores, an upscale spot on an island a couple hours from the coast. And before she left, she was going to talk to me. Meaning she'd try to spin it as something casual, maybe even harmless. But the recording, that changed everything. She knew I'd resist. She knew I'd be hurt. So she had a backup plan. Accuse me of abuse. False charges. Just to silence me. That's not just betrayal. That's war. I sat there that night, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel. The way she looked at me in that picture, like I was her world, it made me feel sick. She threw it all away for a fling. And worse, she was ready to crush me just to protect her lie. I didn't sleep much that night. I stayed up, pacing, thinking, planning. At first, the dark thoughts came easy. Rage has a way of making you imagine things you're not proud of, things that could land you behind bars. But I knew better. She wasn't worth a prison sentence. Neither was Daniel. No, I needed something cleaner, smarter, final. If she wanted freedom, I'd give it to her and take everything else with it. The next day, I started my prep. I gathered financial documents, passwords, account info. I made a backup of the photos and audio Tom had given me. I met with my lawyer, Richard Owens, a guy I had quietly hired weeks ago when my gut first started screaming that something was off. He had drawn up the papers already. All I had to do was say when. I wasn't ready yet. Not quite. But I would be. 2 days later, the moment came. Friday evening. I pulled into the driveway after work and saw Rachel standing in the foyer. Her makeup was flawless. She had curled her hair, wore a sleek black dress, heels, the whole package. Beside her were 2 suitcases, neatly stacked by the door. She smiled when she saw me. It wasn't a real smile. It was the kind of smile you wear when you're trying to sell something. "Hey, babe," she said, voice a little too soft. "You're home early." I dropped my keys into the bowl by the door. "Going somewhere?" She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm not leaving you, Michael. I just need a little getaway. Just for a week." I raised an eyebrow. "Where to?" Her lips twitched. Just for a second. Then she said it. "Haven Shores. With Daniel." I already knew, but hearing her say it still hit like a sledgehammer. I nodded slowly. "Office trip." She laughed nervously. "Not exactly." Silence stretched between us. I didn't help her fill it. She took a breath. "We're going to be together. Physically. For the whole week." Still, I said nothing. She started rambling, like she was trying to convince herself more than me. "He's good to me. He listens. He makes me feel alive. And I need to explore this. Just once. Get it out of my system." Then she said the words that really stuck. "When I get back, I'll be the same. Nothing will change between us." I looked at her, calm and quiet. Inside, I was a volcano. "It's just 1 week, Michael. I'll even try new things with you when I get back." She actually laughed after saying that, like this was all some kind of awkward joke. I stood still, letting the silence choke the room. Finally, I said it. "If you go on this trip, Our marriage is over. She blinked, stunned. But instead of backing down, she smirked. If I don't go, I'll still ruin you. I'll say you hurt me. Who'll believe you, Michael? You know how it works. She crossed her arms, cold and sure of herself. I'll cry on social media, post pictures, and destroy you. So either way, I win. I stared at her for a long moment. Then I smiled, slow and cold. You're willing to lie in court, ruin a man's life, just to go sleep with another guy? She grinned. Yes. I leaned closer. You know what the penalty is for perjury? She scoffed. I don't care. I'm going. I stepped back, calm as ever. That's why I'm not stopping you. Her face flickered for a second, like she caught a glimpse of something behind my eyes. But then she shrugged, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out. As the taxi pulled away, I pulled out my phone. Showtime. She looked me in the eyes, suitcase in hand, and told me she was going away for a week to sleep with her boss. Like it was no big deal. Like we'd just pick up where we left off. The second the taxi disappeared around the corner, I stood there in the doorway, staring at the spot where it had been. The silence felt heavier than usual. The kind of silence that says, nothing will ever be the same again. I stepped inside and locked the door behind me. Then I got to work. First call? The phone company. A calm woman on the line asked me for verification. I gave her all the details. Whose line would you like to cancel? She asked. My wife's, I said. Rachel James. May I ask the reason? She won't be needing it anymore. Click. Gone. Her fancy little iPhone just became an overpriced paperweight. Second call? Credit card company. Hello. I need to cancel all secondary cardholders on my account. Certainly, sir. Which one? Rachel James. Within 2 minutes, every card in her wallet was useless. No more spa days, shopping trips, or high-end dinners on my dime. Third call? Brian Keller, our real estate agent. He picked up on the second ring. Michael, been waiting for your call. It's time, I said. Sell the house. Thought so. Got 2 serious buyers already lined up. How soon you want to move? Give me 2 days. I'll clean it out. Brian chuckled. Copy that. I'll have the paperwork ready. I hung up, took a deep breath, and sat on the edge of the bed. Our bed. The same one Rachel had already mentally moved out of. I looked around the room and realized I didn't feel anything. No grief. No nostalgia. Just space. Space I could finally take back. Next morning, 8 a.m. sharp, the movers arrived. Professional crew. Efficient. No questions asked. I walked them through the house, pointing out what to pack. Everything that belongs to Rachel. Clothes, shoes, bags, jewelry. All of it. Store it in a rental unit. I'll text you the address. They got to work while I made coffee and sat in the kitchen, scrolling through my calendar. I wasn't rushing. Not because I wasn't angry, but because I wanted to savor every minute of this. As the movers boxed up her life, I walked into the closet and saw it. Her wedding dress. It was still hanging in the back corner, covered in plastic. The same dress she wore the day she promised to love, honor, and stay loyal to me. I took it down, ran my hand along the fabric. I didn't cry. I didn't even get choked up. I just thought about how easily she had broken those vows, and how calmly she had told me about it. It's just 1 week. I'll be the same when I get back. I kept the dress. Just that. Everything else went into storage. That night, the house felt different. Lighter. As if every box they moved out had sucked a little of the poison out with it. 2 days later, 2 couples showed up to view the place. Jason and Carla, early 40s, 2 kids, looking for something bigger. Then Luke and Emily, newlyweds, excited and full of questions. I gave them both full tours. Told them about the neighborhood, the local schools, the quiet street. When Carla asked, "So why are you selling?" I just smiled. My wife won't need this house anymore. That shut down any follow-up questions real fast. They nodded, clearly curious but too polite to ask for details. Later that night, Brian called. Jason and Carla made an offer. Full price. No contingencies. You good? I'm good. All right, he said. Let's finalize it. We signed everything the next morning. Just like that, the house I thought I'd grow old in was gone. Sold. No more shared walls. No more shared memories. Just clean space. Later that evening, I met Brian for a drink. He was already nursing a whiskey when I arrived. As I sat down, he slid an envelope across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "Little bonus. My commission was solid, so I kicked some back to you. Divorce fund." I laughed. "What makes you so sure I'm divorcing her?" He raised an eyebrow. "The moment you told those buyers your wife won't need the house anymore, I knew." I shook my head, smiling for the first time in days. "To freedom," Brian said, lifting his glass. I clinked mine against his. "To freedom." While she was playing fantasy life with her boss on some island, I was erasing her from mine, piece by piece. Quietly, efficiently. She thought I'd be waiting. I wasn't. After the house sale was finalized, I moved fast. I wasn't trying to punish her anymore. This wasn't about revenge. This was about clearing the wreckage. The last call I made that week was to Richard Owens, the divorce attorney I had retained the day after I first suspected Rachel was cheating. He picked up on the first ring. "You ready?" "Do it," I said. He didn't even hesitate. "Filing Monday morning. Papers will be in your hands by the afternoon." I thanked him, hung up, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for months. That weekend, I stayed in a short-term rental near my office. Clean, bare. No memories in the walls. No scent of her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. Just silence, the kind that doesn't hurt anymore. Meanwhile, Rachel was out there living it up with Daniel. Tom, my private investigator, had slipped me a copy of their itinerary. Haven Shores Resort. Ocean View Suite. All-inclusive. 5-star everything. On the first day, they checked in holding hands like they were some newly engaged couple. Tom's contact had eyes on the place. Rachel didn't waste a minute. She and Daniel were wrapped around each other before they even unpacked. She probably thought she was living her dream. While she was tangled up in sheets, I was untangling her from my life. I started clearing digital space too. Every shared cloud drive? Gone. Streaming services? Cancelled. Joint social accounts? Deactivated. Her email? Locked out. It was surgical. No drama. No calls. No warnings. I even reset the smart home system. New passwords. New locks. By the third day of her trip, everything she used to touch in my life was either deleted, changed, or boxed up. The movers texted me when the storage drop was complete. "Everything's secured. Just let us know when you want it moved again." I replied, "Keep it. Burn it. I don't care." On the fourth day, Richard emailed me the final draft of the divorce packet, along with something extra. A printed log of Rachel's text messages and screenshots from hotel charges tied to the joint card she tried to use before it got declined. He had also attached an audio transcript. The one where Rachel said, "If he resists, I'll just say he hit me. He never has. But who's gonna believe him?" That was going to be our ace in court. No judge in the world would ignore that. By then, I had already sent the same recording to Daniel's wife, someone I hadn't spoken to before, but knew existed. Turns out, she was thrilled to find out what her husband had been doing. She sent me one email. "Thank you. This will make my case very easy." So yeah, while Rachel was sipping cocktails and pretending she was in some romantic movie, the ground underneath her was falling apart. I didn't feel guilty. I felt clarity. By the time the end of the week rolled around, I was gone from every place she expected to find me. No home, no money, no number, no Michael. I was just out, gone like she never knew me. I didn't know how long it would take for it all to hit her, but I was ready for the moment it did. Because when it did, it wouldn't just hurt. It would crush her. She thought she was escaping her dull husband, thought this week away with her boss would make her feel alive again. Turns out, she was just another notch in his belt. Rachel always used to talk about getting away, about how she needed to feel something again. I never thought those words would turn into a week-long affair in an oceanfront resort with her boss. They landed at Haven Shores on a Saturday. She said the moment they stepped off the boat, The breeze smelled like freedom. Daniel had his arm wrapped around her waist. Possessive, like she was already his. The front desk clerk smiled as he handed over the keys to their luxury suite. "Welcome to paradise," he said. Rachel couldn't wait. As soon as the door shut behind them, they were all over each other. Clothes hit the floor. Words didn't matter. She thought it was passionate. Urgent, she told herself. Afterward, Daniel rolled over, lit up a smug grin, and said, "Greatest check-in service I've ever had." Rachel laughed, trying to play it cool, pretending like she wasn't already halfway in love with him. They ordered lunch, ate in bed, and then, before the dishes were even cleared, he pulled her back into his arms. For the first 48 hours, it was all adrenaline. He was attentive, physical, always wanting her. She was flattered. She felt seen. She told herself this was what she needed, what she'd been missing with me. But that didn't last. By day 3, the energy shifted. Daniel didn't wake up with her anymore. Didn't touch her unless it was leading to something physical. No random hugs. No casual affection. Just the same routine: bed, shower, maybe a drink, and repeat. She asked about going out, exploring the market nearby. He shrugged. "Sure, if you want." They left the resort. The market was vibrant, full of colors, smells, sounds. She smiled at a pair of handcrafted shell earrings in one of the stalls. Delicate, unique. She reached for them, but her card didn't work. She froze, tried again, declined. She reached for her phone to check her account. No signal, not even one bar. She turned to find Daniel, but he wasn't next to her. He was halfway down the block, looking at sunglasses. Didn't even notice she was gone. She ran up to him. "Why did you leave me?" He barely looked up. "You should have called." Her stomach dropped. "My card isn't working, and I can't get service." He shrugged again. "Probably just some glitch. We'll check later." She looked at him, searching for concern. For some trace of the guy she had felt special with 2 nights ago. Nothing. He kept scrolling on his phone, unfazed. She walked back to the earring stand, but without a working card or any cash, there was no point. She whispered under her breath, "Michael would have bought them for me without even asking." She hated that the thought crossed her mind, but it did. Back at the resort, she tried the phone again. No signal. Tried Daniel's. Still nothing. She told him she was going to the pool. His response, "Go ahead. I'm gonna nap." She left, walked to the edge of the pool, wrapped in her towel, and scanned the crowd. Couples laughing, families playing, people sipping drinks in pairs. And her? She was alone. Rachel dipped her legs in the water and stared out over the horizon. This wasn't how it was supposed to feel. That night, she rolled over in bed, reaching for her phone one more time. Still no service. No texts. No calls. No Michael. And for the first time in days, she missed me. But she didn't know yet. The worst was still coming. The thrill wore off. The fantasy faded. And in its place, silence, indifference, and the crushing realization that she gave everything up for nothing. Rachel woke up early the next morning. The sunlight spilled through the curtains in soft streaks, casting golden lines across the room. Daniel was snoring lightly, one arm flung over his face. She watched him for a second, wondering what she was even doing there. She slipped out of bed quietly, grabbed her cover-up and headed to the beach. The sand was cool against her feet. The waves rolled in slow and steady, as if the ocean didn't care who she was or what she had done. For a moment, she let herself imagine a different version of this scene. One where she was walking hand in hand with me making dumb jokes, me chasing her with cold water in a bottle, me holding her waist while she took pictures of the sunrise. But this wasn't that. This was her alone. She sat there for over an hour, toes buried in the sand, her thoughts louder than the waves. She told herself this was just guilt, that once she got back to reality, she'd be fine. That's what she had said, right? Just 1 week. When she got back to the room, Daniel was still asleep. Still in the same position. Not even a pillow flinch. She showered quietly, got dressed, grabbed her purse and said, I'm heading to the market. Want to come? He didn't even open his eyes. Nah, you go. I'll be here. She stood there for a second, waiting for something. Maybe a be careful. Maybe, I'll meet you later. Nothing. She walked out. At the market, she moved quickly, going straight to the earring stall from before. The one with the handcrafted seashell pair she had loved. Gone. The woman behind the counter gave her a polite smile. They sold last night. One of a kind. Rachel just stared for a moment. Of course they did, she muttered. She tried to browse other shops, but her mind wouldn't settle. Everything she picked up felt wrong. Too loud. Too heavy. Too fake. That pair had felt right. And now it belonged to someone else. After about an hour of wandering, she spotted a couple walking together. A woman laughing, holding the hand of a man who leaned down to whisper something in her ear. Their fingers were intertwined. Their pace was unhurried. The woman was wearing her earrings, the ones Rachel had wanted. She watched them walk by, something inside her twisting. She looked at the way the woman smiled, leaned into him, like they existed in their own little world. Rachel turned away. Maybe the earrings weren't meant for her. Maybe that kind of connection wasn't either. Back at the resort, Daniel was sitting on the couch, a half-empty wine bottle on the table. You're back, he said lazily, lifting his glass. Come on, give me some love. Before she could say anything, he grabbed her by the waist and pulled her into the bedroom. His hands were eager. His mouth was already on her skin. She didn't resist. Not physically, but mentally. She was miles away. The motions were there, but the feeling wasn't. No butterflies, no thrill, just compliance. When it was over, he rolled over and reached for his glass like it was just part of the routine. You're something else, he mumbled, half drunk. She smiled weakly and turned her face away. Laying there, eyes on the ceiling, she realized something she hadn't wanted to admit. This wasn't love. This wasn't magic. This was her being used and letting it happen. She rolled onto her side, facing the wall. Daniel was already drifting off. She stared at nothing, her chest heavy, her thoughts louder than ever. What had she really come here for? To feel seen? To feel alive? All she felt was empty. The earrings were gone. The warmth was gone. The dream was gone. And now her phone and her money were gone too. The next morning, Rachel woke up feeling tense. The sun was out. The sky was flawless. And yet everything inside her felt wrong. Daniel was still asleep, sprawled on the bed like a man who didn't have a single thing to worry about. She watched him for a second before gently shaking his shoulder. He groaned. What? I want to go on a tour today. Of the island. He rolled onto his back, eyes still closed. You go. I'm sleeping. She stood there in silence for a moment, then nodded more to herself than him. She got dressed, wrapped her purse strap around her shoulder, and headed downstairs to the front desk. The receptionist greeted her with a bright smile. Good morning. How can I help you? I'd like to book a tour. Island highlights, something scenic. Of course. The woman typed something into the computer. It's a paid tour. Would you like to use the card on file? Rachel nodded, already pulling out her card. Swipe. Error. Frown. Swipe again. Another error. The woman said, still smiling but a little less sure now. Let me try one more time. Swipe. Card declined. I'm sorry, the receptionist said. It seems your card has been canceled. Rachel's throat went dry. No, that's not possible. She pulled out her phone, trying to check her banking app. Nothing loaded. No signal. She moved toward the front of the resort, where service was usually better. Still nothing. She tried calling my number. Dead. No ringing. No message. Just a hard stop. Her hands started to tremble. She rushed back to the room, pushed open the door, and woke Daniel again. This time harder. My phone doesn't work. My card's dead. I think we need to leave. Daniel groaned, sitting up slowly. You're overreacting. I'm serious, Daniel. My card was declined. My phone isn't even loading. So call your husband. Ask him to fix it. She flinched at that word, husband. I tried. He's not answering. Then it's probably just a glitch, he muttered. Relax. She looked at him, eyes wide. I think he cut me off. That got his attention for a second. He sat up straighter. Wait, what? She didn't answer. She just stood there, panic setting in. I need to go back. Can you book me a ticket? He blinked. You're serious? Yes. He laughed under his breath and shook his head. No, I'm not buying you another ticket. We've got returns booked already. I don't have access to anything, Daniel. Not my problem, he said flatly. Her mouth dropped open slightly. What? I'm not spending more on this. You knew what this was. 1 week. Don't act surprised. She backed away a step, stunned. Later that afternoon, she tried again to call me. Over and over. Still nothing. The more she called, the more reality sank in. She was completely cut off. No card. No phone. No contact. No escape. The only person she had with her, the man she gave everything up for, had no intention of helping her get home or helping at all, really. She paced the room, breathing shallow, mind spiraling. How could I do this? How could I just vanish? But deep down, the voice she'd been avoiding finally whispered the truth. This is what you wanted, remember? And now you got it. It was supposed to be fun, passionate, a break from the boring life she thought she was trapped in. But now, she felt used, stranded, and completely numb. Rachel stopped counting how many times Daniel had pulled her into bed. At first, she told herself this was the plan. This was the freedom she wanted. But by day 5, she wasn't feeling liberated. She felt like a prop. He touched her like she was a routine, something to do. No affection, no warmth. Just want, take, finish, sleep. She never said no. She never pulled away. But every time, it chipped away at something inside her. She started going quiet during it, silent afterward, eyes open, staring at the ceiling while he rolled over and reached for the wine. Every night, same script. You're amazing, he would mutter half-drunk. She'd smile, because it was easier than explaining what she was really feeling. Daniel didn't notice, or maybe he did and didn't care. When she finally gathered the courage to ask, "Can we do something else? Just walk, maybe go to the beach?" He waved her off. "You want to take a walk in this heat?" He scoffed. "What, now you're a tourist?" "No," she said, trying not to sound hurt. "I just thought we could spend some time together, outside the room." He shrugged. Later, maybe. He never meant it. She spent more and more time sitting by the pool alone, watching couples hold hands, watching kids splash their parents, watching people laugh and eat and live. She had given up a whole life, a marriage, a home, a future. For what? A man who saw her as convenient? A fling with no feeling? One night, after another silent bedroom session, she rolled out of bed and sat on the balcony in just a sheet. The ocean was still. The wind was soft, and in her chest it felt like something had caved in. She picked up her phone again. No bars, no messages, no missed calls. Not from me. She finally whispered it out loud. "I want to go home." Daniel was already asleep, mouth open slightly, empty wine glass on the nightstand. But where was home? She didn't even know anymore. The next morning, she woke early again, dressed quietly, and walked down to the beach. She stayed there for hours, digging her toes into the sand, watching the tide roll in and out like it was trying to wash away everything she had done. She thought about our old vacations, me chasing her into the surf, lifting her into my arms, making her laugh so hard she'd beg me to stop just to breathe. She remembered me handing her a seashell once, broken on one end, and calling it perfectly imperfect, like us. She had loved that. She used to love me. She felt tears build up, but blinked them back. By the time she returned to the resort, Daniel was just waking up. "Where were you?" he asked, yawning. "I went for a walk. Alone." She didn't answer. He stretched, rubbed his eyes, then smirked. "Well, since you're back." She flinched. "Not now," she said softly, backing toward the bathroom. He narrowed his eyes but said nothing. Later that afternoon, he disappeared without saying where he was going. She sat in the room, staring at the door, wondering what would happen if she just left. Just started walking. No plan. No money. No phone. She picked up the resort landline. Tried calling me again. It rang. Hope surged. Then voicemail. She left a message. Just her name. Her voice shaking. No begging. No explanation. Just silence after her name. The kind of silence that comes when you know the person on the other end is done. She came back expecting a warm bed, a place to cry, maybe even a second chance. Instead, she found a locked door, a stranger answering it, and her whole life gone. Rachel landed back in the city with her suitcase in one hand and the weight of reality pressing down on her chest. Daniel barely said goodbye. No hug, no kiss, just a half smirk and a take care, before walking toward the parking garage like none of it ever happened. She didn't care. She was too busy rehearsing what she'd say to me. She pictured herself walking in, finding me sitting on the couch. She'd cry, maybe collapse into my arms, tell me she messed up, that it was a mistake, that she just needed to feel something. And maybe, just maybe, I'd forgive her. She told herself I would. That's what she was banking on. The cab dropped her off in front of what used to be our house. But something looked off. The curtains were different. The lights were brighter. The doormat was gone. She walked up, pulled out her key, and slid it into the lock. It didn't turn. She tried again, harder. Nothing. Panic set in. Wrong key? She jiggled it. Still nothing. She rang the doorbell. Chimed a different sound. New. Not ours. Footsteps. Then the door opened. A woman stood there. Early 30s, ponytail, yoga pants, confused expression. Yes. Rachel blinked. I live here. The woman tilted her head slightly. No, you don't. This is my house, Rachel insisted, voice rising. This is 104 Ridge Lane. I live here. My name is Rachel James. My husband is Michael. The woman's eyes softened. Not with understanding, but pity. Oh, Michael James. Rachel's stomach dropped. The woman nodded gently. We bought this house from him, my husband and I, last week. No, Rachel whispered. No, that's not possible. He can't sell it. He wouldn't. Another voice came from inside. A man. Everything okay, babe? He appeared behind her. Taller. Broad shoulders. Protective stance. She says she's Michael's wife, the woman explained. The man stepped forward, eyes hardening. Look, lady. We bought this house legally. Got the deed. It's ours now. If you're confused, call your husband. But you need to leave. Right now. Or what? Rachel whispered, heart pounding. We'll call the cops. That word stopped her cold. She stepped back, trembling. Without another word, she turned and stumbled down the steps, her suitcase dragging behind her like an anchor. She didn't stop walking until she was out of view of the house, her house, that now belonged to strangers. She stood on the corner, breathing hard, holding back a scream. Then she reached into her purse. No phone. She had tossed the dead one back at the resort. No contact. No one. Only one place left to go. Her mother's. The cab ride was quiet. She didn't speak. Didn't cry. She was saving whatever energy she had left for when she saw someone she trusted. When the front door opened, her mother stood there, arms crossed, face unreadable. Rachel didn't even speak. She just stepped inside. Sat down on the living room couch, the same one from her childhood. Her mother didn't sit. She pulled out her phone, dialed a number, and said one sentence. She's here. Rachel blinked. Who did you just call? No answer. A few minutes later, the doorbell rang. Rachel's heart jumped. She rushed to the door, praying it was me. That maybe, just maybe, I came to see her face one last time. She opened the door. It wasn't me. It was a man in a dark jacket holding a thick envelope. Rachel James? He asked. Yes, she said slowly. You've been served. He snapped a picture, handed her the envelope, and walked off without a word. She stared down at it, frozen. Divorce papers. She opened it slowly, hands shaking. Inside, evidence. Screenshots. Message logs. A transcript of her voice. At the very bottom, taped to the last page, a USB stick. With a note, "Watch this." I had recorded the video the day after she left. I stood on the same hill where I had proposed to her, back when I still believed in us. The wind was strong that day, but I spoke clearly, calmly. "If you're watching this, Rachel, then I guess you already did what you set out to do." I paused. "You wanted something new. You wanted out. Now you've got it. And I've got what I want too, peace." I held up her wedding dress. "You threatened to ruin my life. Threatened to lie, to drag my name through the dirt. You said the law would believe you. That no one would believe me." I poured gasoline over the dress. "But the truth? It doesn't need permission to be real." I dropped the match. The flames shot up fast. The delicate lace turned black and shriveled in seconds. "This was the last thing that tied me to you," I said. The screen faded to black. That was the video on the USB she found. The last message she'd ever get from me. After that, I blocked her on everything. The divorce took 7 months. She fought it. She tried to play victim. But the judge heard the recording, the one where she threatened to falsely accuse me. It ended right there. No alimony. No payout. She walked away with nothing. I moved into a condo across town. Smaller. Sleek. Mine. I started hitting the gym again. Not to impress anyone, just to feel strong. Feel whole. Rebuild from the inside out. Sometimes I think about what she's doing now. But only for a second. Then I go back to living. Free.